Now, after waiting since the release of Drake's Family Matters for any sort of response, A$AP Rocky has finally opened up about everything Drake threw out at him with his brand new track Hijack, and with this cut, as Rocky is not just responding to Drake here, but he's also using this moment to bring the hype up for his upcoming album Don't Be Dumb to an all-time high, as it is less than a month away from releasing. This song doesn't just respond to Drake, but it actually does a lot more, as Rocky seems to be setting up something much bigger here to come later. But in order to really understand this, we need to get to the core of what Rocky is saying here to Drake on this cut. So with Hijack, this is a song that seems to be very symbolic and calculated for A$AP Rocky for a multitude of reasons. Now, the first reason why this is because of the sound and musical atmosphere of the cut, which makes the track feel a lot more in line with Rocky's older work as opposed to his last album, which was way more experimental in testing. And considering that we have been waiting for 6 entire years for a new album from A$AP Rocky, it seems that when it comes to telling his own story through his music, on one end, the goal of this track is to show that he is on some level returning to form and naturally progressing from the sound of his earlier work, but now in addition to this, while Rocky sets this idea up through the sonic atmosphere of the track and through its general messaging, which tells us that he is hijacking something back. In order to do this and pull off this figurative hijack, he has to be taking back what's his from somebody else in the first place. And now, while there are multiple targets that Rocky is addressing on this song, which we will get to the second one later, the most obvious person is of course none other than Drake, who beyond the faint branding and theme of the track, Rocky gets about as direct as he can without bringing up Drake's name yet. Because right after Family Matters, which was a cut where of course Drake threw a lot of lyrical smoke Rocky's way, Rocky responds to Drake's taunting here, and not by rebuttaling back to every line and point Drake said directly, but by initially standing above the antics of Drake, and he does this by flexing about the lifestyle he lives, which is not just lavish, but he builds on this cliche and hip-hop trope that Drake has really dragged out into his music recently, and then takes it a level up by bragging about being the originator of so many of the waves that have emerged within and around hip-hop culture, which from his sound to his fashion sense. He's not exactly wrong, and because of his musical influence and actual impact within the fashion world, these lines do actually hit as opposed to some of the generic flexes that other rappers try to get across. But aside from these lines that build up this sense of pride and confidence from Rocky, which along from the track's spacey beat, create for such a wonderful and lively musical experience. Building up this bravado even more, Rocky calls out Drake on multiple bars, with the first one saying, "Pull up to the trenches, all my jewelry, yeah, I'm like that." And now with this bar, it seems to be a line that is testing and taunting Drake based on the claim he made in response to Kendrick Lamar on Push-Ups, where he told Kendrick that he will not be taking any chains off him in response to Lamar's line on Like That about him snatching chains and burning tattoos, and with Rocky saying "yeah, I'm like that" at the end of this line. It is tying together this reference by calling Drake's bluff and nodding to the original track where this claim was made, which is of course future Metro Boomin and Kendrick's smash hit Like That. And now building on this, another line Rocky throws out, which has some light jabs, is in the bar, "Don't compare that boy to me, I don't like that." Which is where we really start to see the ground raise on Drake, as Rocky seems to be doubling down on who he is targeting. As with all the conversation in the genre recently and Drake's head-on beef with Rocky, with these bars clearly calling out somebody directly, it leaves Drake as one of the only few targets that this could be about. And now with Rocky also dropping the phrase boy in here, which as we all know, is Drake's nickname. As far as subliminals go, this seems like a lyrical layup to get things elevated, but beyond this and really putting the pieces of who this track is all about together and letting us know what Rocky is really going to try and rely on to defeat Drake in the full-on beef. He says, "These people want my wife so bad, the people want my next track." Which is clever for multiple reasons, because on one hand, this is clearly a bar that is designed to torment Drake again about the fact that Rihanna was not just the one girl that slipped away from him and that he was never able to get, but that out of all of the people she could have ended up with, it happens to be somebody who's not just in your profession, but somebody who you once worked with closely before souring that relationship, but also at this point. With these lines all clearly putting out a message towards Drake, but at that, not one that is strong enough for Drake to jump out at yet, especially as Rocky in the next bar then teases that another song is coming. It has put Drake in a position where he has to now sit here and wait to see where this is really gonna go from Rocky, because if he even responds in just one way, it'll show just how bad losing out on Rihanna has really driven him crazy. So now, while these disses are not shaking the genre in terms of their lyrical impact and tenacity, this was the point of them, as they were designed to put Drake in this box where if he responds right now, he already loses because it will show just how insecure and fragile he really is. So at this point, all he can really do is wait to see what Rocky has to say in full. But now, while this track was definitely designed to do this to Drake, when you listen closely to the other bars, there is another target who it seems like Rocky will also be calling out on a larger scale on his upcoming album, which is none other than Travis Scott. And now, where Drake gets dissed on this track in direct reference to where his reputation has sunk into and off some of the main points that Rocky was able to throw back right in his face based off all of the songs he has released recently, for Travis Scott, Rocky is calling him out for stealing his flow and stealing his style, and in the greater sense beyond his personal feud with Drake, in the artistic sense and as an actual rapper and hip-hop artist. This seems to be where a lot of the track's energy is directed to, as Rocky is talking about taking the flow and style back that he started popping off with, which, as most people all know, is a major criticism of Travis Scott, as he has been accused of stealing from Rocky over and over again and building on this. As Rocky already dissed Travis Scott when he previewed a track from this album during Rolling Loud 2023 and directly called out Travis for stealing his flow there. While we don't know the full weight of where this beef is gonna go, it really seems like Rocky is trying to take on two different rappers on this track for two completely different reasons, and I think that building on all of the symbolism and disses on this track that Rocky is really alluding to. Even the title of the song itself, Hijack, may be another jab at Travis Scott in of itself, because as we all know, Travis Scott's nickname is Cactus Jack, so in a way, Rocky could be using this song title to tell Travis that he is taking back everything that he took from him. Which then almost makes it seem like this is his faint way of letting Travis know that when this album drops, he should be on alert because Rocky is going to try and settle the score on not just who the better artist is, but it seems like he's going to try and expose Travis and show the world that no matter who you think is better, you can't argue that Rocky is not the originator of what they did. So now, from Drake disses that are showing Rocky has been preparing for this matchup to the sentiment of this track that is showing that Rocky is gonna finally be spinning up on Travis after their beef has been quietly brewing for years. With this track also being great musically, Hijack was a pretty strong start to get people engaged in ASAP's upcoming album and to be ready to witness what is next from him, but by doing all this, Rocky really is gonna have to deliver and say something strong against both Drake and Travis Scott, because considering the volume of Drake's fan base, and just how desperate they are after the beef to give Drake some sort of win, and the success and dominance of Travis Scott, as his last two albums in Astroworld and Utopia have been seen as generational bodies of work, and the guy is selling out shows like few other artists on the entire planet can. This is going to be an uphill battle for Rocky, so I really hope he is ready for what he is getting himself into, because if ASAP can drop a great album and take on two musical giants like Drake and Travis Scott, he is seriously going to make a moment in the rap world that we will be talking about for a very long time and beyond that. After years of being away and so many people questioning how good Rocky is, he will solidify his legacy as one of the best rappers of this generation, and as one that, despite being in the game for almost 15 years at this point, still has so much to offer. So with all that said, let me know, what do you think of A$AP Rocky's new song and his disses aimed at both Drake and Travis Scott? I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and if you want to hear how XXXTentacion's friends finally exposed Drake, check out the suggested video.